The distress beacon had been transmitting for 72 hours before the Valerian Dawn limped into Earth's outer orbit. Commander Kendall watched through the cracked viewport as the blue planet grew larger, her fingers trembling against the control panel. The ship's hull was scorched black, riddled with plasma burns that still glowed faintly in the darkness of space. "Permission to dock. Earth Station Alpha," she transmitted, her voice hoarse from days without proper rest. "This is Commander Kendall of the Calrexian Alliance. We require emergency repairs." The response came quickly, surprisingly warm. "Permission granted. Valerian Dawn, proceed to Bay 7. Medical teams are standing by." Beside her, Lieutenant Roman straightened in his seat, his usually steady hands gripping the armrests. "They're being hospitable," he said, suspicion evident in his tone. "Earth hasn't been involved in the war. Why would they help us?" Kendall didn't answer. She couldn't. The Calrexian Alliance had been fighting the Dravix Empire for 3 brutal years, and Earth, primitive, isolated Earth, had remained neutral, watching from the sidelines as civilizations burned. They had no reason to intervene, no stake in the conflict that had consumed half the galaxy. The docking procedure was smooth despite their damaged systems. As the airlock sealed and the bay pressurized, Kendall felt the weight of exhaustion settle over her like a physical burden. Her crew of 47 had been reduced to 19. The rest were either dead or captured during the ambush at the Tertian Nebula. The airlock door hissed open, and Kendall's breath caught in her throat. A dozen humans stood waiting, but they weren't the primitive beings she'd expected from historical records. They wore advanced exosuits that shimmered with adaptive armor plating. Their weapons, sleek energy rifles, hung casually at their sides, humming with barely contained power. At the center stood a woman with steel-gray hair and sharp eyes that seemed to calculate everything at once. "Commander Kendall," the woman said, extending her hand. "I'm Director Sarah Chen. Welcome to Earth." Kendall shook the offered hand, feeling the strength in that grip. "Director, we appreciate your assistance. Our ship took heavy damage during we know," Chen interrupted gently. "We've been monitoring the war. Every battle, every loss, every Dravix advancement. We've been watching, and we've been preparing." Roman stepped forward, his jaw tight. "Preparing for what?" Chen's smile was cold. "For the right moment to act." Over the next week, Kendall watched in amazement as Earth's engineers worked to miracles on the Valerian Dawn. They didn't just repair the damage, they upgraded every system. The old fusion drives were replaced with quantum propulsion units that could achieve speeds Kendall had only dreamed of. The hull was reinforced with something called adaptive nanomesh that could self-repair and redistribute energy from weapons, fire. But it was the weapons that truly shocked her. "These are phase disruptors," explained one of the human engineers, a young man named Marcus who couldn't have been more than 20. "They don't just penetrate Dravix shields, they collapse them entirely. We've been studying their technology for years. We know their weaknesses better than they know them themselves." Roman examined one of the weapons, his tactical mind already calculating possibilities. "Why?" he asked, looking up at Marcus. "Why develop all this if you weren't going to intervene?" "Because intervention without preparation is suicide," Chen said, entering the armory. She moved between the weapons with the confidence of someone who understood every piece of technology intimately. The Alliance jumped into this war believing superior numbers and courage would be enough. The Dravix have been conquering civilizations for centuries. They're efficient, ruthless, and technologically superior to almost everyone they encounter. "But not to you," Kendall said quietly. Chen met her gaze. "Not anymore. We had one advantage: time and anonymity. While everyone dismissed Earth as backward and insignificant, we studied every species, every technology, every war in galactic history. We learned from everyone's mistakes, and we waited for the moment when our intervention would matter most." "This is that moment?" Roman asked. "This is that moment," Chen confirmed. "The Dravix are overextended. They control too much territory with too few fleets. They've grown arrogant, predictable. And now, with your ship and crew as the catalyst, we're going to show them what a mistake that was." 2 weeks later, the Valerian Dawn departed Earth. But it wasn't alone. 3 Earth vessels accompanied them, sleek, lethal ships that moved through space like living shadows. Kendall stood on the bridge, feeling the power thrumming beneath her feet. Her crew, reinforced by human tactical specialists and engineers, moved with renewed purpose. Approaching Dravix supply line at Sector 449, Roman reported from tactical, "Multiple targets detected. They haven't spotted us yet." Kendall took a deep breath. This was at the first strike in what Earth called Phase 2 of the war, the moment everything would change. "All ships," she transmitted, "weapons free. Show them what Earth has been building." The battle was over in minutes. The Dravix supply convoy, which would have taken the Alliance hours to overcome, was obliterated by weapons that tore through their shields like paper. Not a single Earthship or the Valerian Dawn took damage. As Kendall watched the debris field scatter, she understood what had happened. Earth hadn't joined the war, Earth had changed it entirely. They'd turned a grinding war of attrition into something the Dravix had never faced before, a fight they couldn't win. "Send the footage to Alliance Command," Kendall ordered, a smile touching her lips for the first time in months. Let them know the tide has turned. Let them know Earth has entered the war. Roman looked at her, his expression mixing relief and awe. They came to us for repairs and gave us an army. No, Kendall corrected, watching as the Earth ships moved into formation. They gave us something better. They gave us hope.